I wanted Trump.
You wanted Trump.
Yep. There was no way in hell I wanted her out there. But now I don't know what would have been better.
What were you expecting?
I was expecting the lower cost of a lot of just your everyday living things and hoping that he would make things better for everybody in America, because that's what we need. Groceries are already outrageous, and then we put the tariffs on across the seas or whatever, like China, all that. It just makes everything more expensive for everybody.
So you heard that, and I've been coming across a increasing number of clips like that where, you know, CNN, mainstream media, right, and Democrat politicians are increasingly trying to convince us that there's this mass of Trump supporters or people who voted for Trump that are now regretting it. I mean, it's all over. It's like they're attempting to blitz us with this kind of psyop to make us feel and think as if, yeah, everybody's regretting voting for Trump. And I'm like, I'm not really believing that. Like, check out this clip from Jasmine Crockett. Check it out.
What do we think about how the people who voted for him are viewing the moment we're in?
I think that there's a lot of regret. I think that the sycophants, there's nothing that you can say about them. Like, there is a real cult that is taking place, and they follow their leader, and they believe whatever he says, and they're just going to get in line. And then there are those that are like, well, wait a minute. Like, why is it that I don't have health care? But the billionaires are still having, like, multi-million-dollar weddings? Like, why is it that I'm not going to be able to go to college, or my kid isn't going to be able to go to college, or I'm not going to be able to eat because they're getting, like, wait a minute, what is the point of this? Like, what is happening?
What do we think about how...
That made no sense. But, yeah, you heard her say that there are some people that regret, as well as this clip here. Check this one out.
Again, I invite you to come.
I will go. Let's go. We'll go together. I'll come with you. You come to Eloquent.
The town halls that we have been doing, where we are seeing Republicans and Democrats alike. I went to a county that Trump won by 20 points. Hundreds of people showing up and saying, I'm a Republican. I voted for Trump, and this is not what I voted for.
Like, that doesn't even sound real. Some people showing up, hey, I'm a Republican and I regret voting. Like, who talks like that? Hey, I'm a Republican and I regret voting for Trump. Like, that don't even sound real. But of course, they're trying to convince us that this stuff is happening. And on top of that, I feel like they've taken it a step up, because Chuck Grassley held a town hall, and I want you guys to see this clip, because this is what CNN would say are a bunch of Trump supporters that are going after him and regretting their decision to vote for Trump and going after Chuck Grassley for supporting Trump. You tell me what you think.
Are you going to bring that guy back from El Salvador? Yeah. Why not?
Well, because that's not a power of Congress.
The Supreme Court said to bring him back.
Judges are,
Yeah.
and the president isn't upholding the Constitution.
He's defined the
You're on the
Constitution.
Judiciary Committee.
Trump don't care.
Guatemala or El Salvador is an independent country. The president
Speak up, please. We can't hear you.
The president of that country is not subject to our U.S. Supreme Court.
I'm pissed.
We would like to know what you, as the people, the Congress, who are supposed to rein in this dictator, what are you going to do about it? These people have been sentenced to life imprisonment in a foreign country with no due process. Our government cannot do anything.
Trump isn't a kid.
Why won't you do your job, Senator?
Yeah.
We're supposed to believe those were Republicans. Yeah. Highly doubt that. I don't know of any Republicans that are like, yeah, let's bring an MS-13 gang member back. Yeah, I'm pissed. Like, no, listen, that don't sound like a Trump supporter to me. I'm just saying, you know, it really doesn't, especially when you consider the fact that Chuck Schumer even talked about sending Democrats. I'm just going to play the clip. Check it out.
We are mobilizing in New York. We have people going to the Republican districts and going after these Republicans who are voting for this. And
we have people going to Republican districts and going after the Republicans that are voting for this. He said it out of his own mouth. And I don't think he realized what he said there, you know? And that's why sometimes you should just let Democrats speak, because sometimes they'll slip up and tell you the truth. That's what I think was happening there. Those are paid actors, in my humble opinion, that were sent to Chuck Grassley's district, or some of them might actually live there, but they were paid to go there to be agitators and to go after Chuck Grassley and to make it seem as if there's a bunch of Republicans that are really mad and angry about all of this. Because in reality, even CNN came out and admitted, actually, most people agree with Trump on immigration. And of course, if they're putting these numbers up, they're probably stronger and better than what they display to us. But check it out.
Deport all undocumented immigrants. Voters favoring the government trying to deport all 11 million of them. Back in 2016, just 38% of voters wanted the government to try to deport all 11 million undocumented immigrants. Compared to where we are in 2025, 56%, the majority. The American people have come a long way on this issue, much closer to Donald Trump, and I think that's a big part of the reason why Americans are increasingly saying the country is on the right track when it comes to immigration policy, and why Donald Trump's net approval rating on that issue is in the positive.
I'm just saying, you know, even CNN aired that. But of course, there's other clips as well that are floating around the internet. They're trying to create this groundswell that I think is completely fake and bogus. It was the same thing as that one clip, and I think I made a YouTube short on this, where Kamala was like talking about something, I think it was like astronauts or something, planets or something with like kids, and it turned out that those kids were actually paid actors. Yeah, paid actors. Or you guys remember when Democrats would actually Kamala's team, or somebody trying to get Kamala elected, paid 2 actors to act like Trump supporters in an ad. They acted like Trump supporters, like or Republicans, and said, yeah, we're voting for Kamala, blah 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 blah, and it turned out they were actually Hollywood actors. That's what I think is going on in this clip, but check it out.
I was a dumbass, voted for Trump. It was the worst decision I ever made.
I've seen the light, and I got out of MAGA. A lot of us there have seen the light. We have deep regrets.
I feel guilty because I voted for Trump twice. I feel very guilty because I feel responsible. That's why he's still running.
I was with Trump for 9 straight years. I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed in Trump right now. I'm no longer rocking with Trump.
I used to be a MAGA Republican, and now I've turned blue.
And it makes me emotional to know that I ever fucking stood by idly and blind and let that shit happen.
Because I know that I have been a Trump supporter, and I can no longer say that I am MAGA. And
I regret my vote for Trump.
I voted for Trump. I'm done. I don't have any more resilience in me.
But we need to encourage these people. Thank you.
Actually, I think one of them definitely was a troll. Where's she at? This one. I recognize her. I can't think of her @ name, but I think she was trolling on this. But Democrats are trying to drum up support by, posting that everywhere. Oh my goodness, there's a bunch of Republicans that regret voting for Trump, and I'm like, bro, no, that is not the case, not by a long shot. I don't see it. And as a matter of fact, CNN actually took a poll on this and really squashed Democrats' talking point. And once again, remember, take this with a grain of salt. If these are the numbers, they're probably better than this.
I mean, this is the big question, right? I hear all these stories, all these articles. All the Trump voters, they regret what they did back in 2024. I'm here to tell you, very few of them regret what they did back in 2024. What are we talking about? Trump voters looking back at 2024. We got a new poll out. The poll was conducted this month. What percentage would change their vote to a different candidate? We're talking just 2%, just 2%. That's not even a wide spot on the road. And then there's this additional 1% who say they would rather not vote. We're talking overall under 5% might or would have changed their vote, Donald Trump voters back in 2024. And then you ask, okay, the same question to Kamala Harris voters, and it turns out the numbers are rather similar. So if there was a repeat, if folks got to be able to redo their vote that they had back in 2024, would the result be any different? I doubt it would be. I doubt it would be, or it would still be extremely close. The bottom line is, for all this talk of Trump voters regretting their vote, in the numbers, it really just doesn't show up, John.
So the stickiness with Trump voters and President Trump in this presidency, how does it compare to his first presidency?
Yeah, okay. So, I was interested in sort of a historical analogy here, sort of, does this look similar or different from back in 2017, looking at 2016? Well, in February of 2017, 4% of Trump voters say they'd shift their vote. That's actually slightly more than the 3% this time around. So, you look back, you say, okay, there's these Trump voters who really regret their vote. Historically speaking, they really don't regret their vote. And if anything, the number this time around is actually smaller than it was the first time around. And it's certainly smaller than the number we saw coming out of 2020, of course, after the events of January 6th. So the bottom line is this. If there's some idea out there that Trump voters are going around, man, I wish I had voted for Kamala Harris instead of Donald Trump, the numbers say that is a fanciful universe. It really, for the most part, does not exist.
What about the Republican brand in general? Any evidence that people are, leaving that brand faster than they're leaving the Democrats?
Yeah, exactly. Yesterday we spoke about Trump's approval rating, right? But it's very important to note, nothing cannot be nothing. That is, when you put two folks together or two folks against each other, the results might look different than just looking at one of them. And on this particular measure, which I think is so important, because what we saw in 2024 was Republicans getting a rare lead on party identification. It was a 1-point lead, according to Gallup. Look at where it was in an average of Gallup polls so far this year, plus 2 points for Republicans. If anything, the Republican brand has actually perhaps gotten a smidgen stronger, though these are within the margin of error. Very different from 2017, when Democrats held a 5-point advantage. And I'll finally note, this looks very much like the generic ballot trend, which in 2025 looks an awful bit like November of 2024, when Republicans, of course, won and held the House.
We will see if these trends continue.
Yeah, so once again, this whole narrative that there's this mass of Trump supporters that are regretting our vote or are switching parties and not supporting Trump anymore, it's complete dog water. It's hogwash. I mean, it's absolutely bogus. It's another Democrat strategy to try to drum up some support because they have absolutely nothing to run on, and it ain't gonna work. It's not going to work. And you heard it from CNN, of all places. Not just from me. You heard it from CNN. So if they're reporting these numbers, they're probably better than what they're reporting. I'm just saying. So yeah, that whole narrative can just go out the window. And plus, I've asked you guys in past videos, hey, do you regret voting for Trump? And I have yet to see a single person say, yeah, I actually regret voting for Trump. Not a single person. Not a single soul, because what is there to regret voting for Trump? I mean, he's doing everything he promised he was going to do. Is everything perfect yet? No, but the man's been in office for 90 days. I don't know. Like, it hasn't been long at all. Like, give the man some time, okay? But things are definitely moving in the right direction. And I can guarantee you this, it wouldn't be any better with Kamala or far leftist AOC and Bernie Sanders sitting in the White House. We probably would have already started World War III at this point. With them, I'm going to be nice, with those folks in office. I almost said something else. But anyway, y'all let me know your thoughts and your opinions on this. Thanks for tuning in as always. Peace and love. I'm out.